panel discussion for today. So I would request the speakers to turn on their camera, which they already have. Thank you. And as and when a question is directed, you could unmute yourself. So the first question I would direct to Mr. Sekath, followed by Mr. Vivek. So Mr. Sekath, with the increase in remote work, it can be challenging to maintain your team's productivity and engage with customers virtually. How are your teams adapting to the new normal?
Thanks, Sujata, and thanks for having me here. Hope you all are keeping safe and taking precautions for the well-being of yourself and your families. It's tough times and we all need to keep safe. So having said that, well, for us, switching to the virtual medium was easy. We did have those products which connect to the members, whether you talk about Lifesize or Microsoft Teams and all. But the deployment of it at such a huge scale, we have about 1,200 people that in our group. The initial inertia of getting used to it was a challenge, but eventually it went on smooth, and we started off with interacting with all the people. And I would say the interactions were at such a level, perhaps we had never done that before in our day-to-day lives. So we realized that it is a new thing and people are enjoying being connected, and everything, wherever there was a gap or a question to be asked, people were available. So the acclimatization was pretty fast, okay, if I were to say that. Once we moved from our acclimatization to a bit of expertise, we started interacting with our dealers and had conversations about knowing their well-being, their business, and so on. And business was the last thing in our mind. But slowly, I guess, when it was early May, when the lockdown was getting lifted slowly, we saw a good traction from our dealer community and also from the salespeople, because slowly some things or the other started moving. Though we had issues because we are a building material company with a lot of dependence on trucks and labor and all. So we did have the initial challenge of getting laborers because most of the labor by that had gone down. So interacting with people on this virtual media and chugging along, it was smooth, I would say, because we didn't have much of a problem, and the interactions were going on in a speed that I won't say it was disappointing, but we had lengthy hours as far as our working is concerned. So we got a good support all throughout, and the technology adoption was not of much of a challenge for us.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Sekath. Once again, I apologize for the technical glitch. So I would primarily keep my video off so that at least my voice reaches the most.
Okay.
So the same question, Mr. Vivek, to you. With the increase in remote working, it can be challenged to maintain the team's productivity and engage with customers virtually. How are the teams adapting to the new normal and especially connecting with customers?
Thanks, Sujata. Your voice is loud and clear right now. I'll bite the video though. So I think Mr. Sekath had sort of well laid out in terms of what practically had happened across his organization. To add to that, I would say, what fundamentally has happened in these pandemic times is that organizations also need to understand, and possibly they're also doing their bit, where they're moving from creating a customer experience, which was earlier, just about, seamless, making it more convenient, making it more engaging. But right now the need is understanding what the needs of the customers are. So that is the essential concern over here. So whatever services you're providing, be it across the retail, be it across the manufacturing sector, one major factor which has to be done is in terms of providing empathy and acting in an empathetic manner across the needs of your customers as well. Because you can at the end of the day build a foundation of goodwill and long-lasting connections. Other than that, what has also been seen is possibly, providing some sort of a pragmatic help to customers now that there is a challenge of, I would say, financial distress. So that is one part of it. Two other pieces I would say, where you could possibly maintain your team's productivity and engage with customers is in terms of over communicate. Can't sort of emphasize the need of this. Now that what has happened is, that informal communication is completely gone. I mean, because you can't meet people personally in that manner, which would have earlier happened. So now that that is not in place, it's better to over communicate. I mean, it's fine even if it's the connection numbers are more, even if you have to do a Zoom call, or that matter, any platform as such, it's better to stay as much as connected as possible, though through different means. So it could be an emailer, maybe it could just be a WhatsApp text or in any other format as such. And last but not the least, I would also add that one major aspect is in terms of being transparent with your customers, because that is very important. See, at the end of the day, both have a challenge. The customer has a challenge, and also equally problematic is for the organization which is servicing him. So if that teams are able to keep it in mind and understand that if you can help the customer understand that you're going to help him, you're going to get the work done, though it would be in a different way. So I think that is something how you overall you could engage with customers in the longer run, build long-time relationships, and staying empathetic. That's what is more important.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vivek, for sharing your views. I think even you are facing connectivity issues because your video is stuck. So it's either me or it's you or it's the both of us. Anyways, with that, let's move to the next question. And I would direct the next question to Mr. Vimal first and then come back to Mr. Vivek. Mr. Vimal, sales team is working in a distributed manner as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. How do you motivate teams and ensure success during these challenging times? Mr. Vimal, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you, Sujata. Thank you. And first of all, I would like to thank Saikat for giving a beautiful explanation about that first question. And see, it is very difficult, and particularly when you're not aware about what's going to happen. See, when in a business, we are most of the times aware about what can go wrong, where we have challenges, which are our customers, which are our contemporaries, किसके साथ हमने लड़ना है, किसके साथ नहीं लड़ना है. But the most important thing about this particular pandemic, this particular thing, COVID situation, was we were not aware what's going to happen. And particularly in our business is not a dealership business. Our business is directly with OEMs. In steel, we are handling customers who are OEMs, basically. They are the equipment manufacturers. They are supplying to either to four-wheelers, or they are supplying to car manufacturers. They are supplying to two-wheelers. They are supplying to white good manufacturers, or directly to those. We are directly supplying to Maruti or Hero Honda, or Honda, for that matter, Honda Motocorp now. The part was that it had become a kind of inherent thing with the sales team, that they had to go out, meet people directly. Now, suddenly there was a shutdown. What next? It became a challenge. But then the 2 months of April and May, the electronic platform suddenly came up, and we found precisely the way Saikat said, that we worked hard, we worked long hours, we put in long hours, and finally we found out that we were getting better results. Rather than moving out and approaching customers or maybe dealers, by way of connecting them on WhatsApp calls, video calls rather. I won't say WhatsApp phone calls. I'll say WhatsApp video calls, and Zoom, and for that matter, all other platforms we were trying. Everything we tried, and we were connecting, and we were finding out that we are getting better results out of that. There was cost cutting also. We try to work out on cost, like when you are working on a zero cost, everything is closed down. What is your cost? And now when everything is escalating, you have a platform which could not have been there had this not happened, had everything not shut down. You would have never realized in life what is going to be the cost to the company when everything is shut down. So today, April was total shutdown, and there was a cost. So you have a zero cost. You have a zero productivity cost available with you. And now the things are moving up. We never realized what's going to happen when we are going to be 100% back into productivity. And suddenly in the month of May, we were there 20%. In the month of June, we were there 60%. In the month of July, we expect around 80-85% business back. And this particular thing, again, the introduction of this platform, as rightly said by Saikat also, that yes, we had to provide maybe laptops to a lot of people, maybe provide internet connections to a lot of people, or maybe make our customers aware that this is a better medium to interact. And things became a bit kind of thing like, if I was working for say about 12 hours a day, initially I was working about 18 hours a day, but then suddenly I found out from 18 I was coming down to back to 12 hours, but then the productivity was more. I was more there. I was more interactive. I was aware about the customer problems. Things became more interactive, and I think this is going to be the norm. Even if everything goes right at the end of the day, and it has to go right. Everything will be normal. Everybody will forget about COVID-19. But yes, this new norm is going to stay there. It is going to be something which people will be discussing. How to stay here. This is a big cost cutting for the company. Like there's a lot of travel cost which has been which has come down. There's a lot of other things. Yes, comparatively your e-commerce thing has gone up, definitely. Yes, but then okay, the results are coming up and we are back into 80%. But then there's another thing which has come out from all this, that you are right now, who is the right customer, who is the positive customer, who is the red zone customer, who is the orange zone customer, who is the green zone customer. Because the way they behaved during the last 4 months has given you an insight. You know who is going to be there and who is the right. You may not be telling him on the face, but I think this is the positive thing about all this, that we are there and we know now whom to hit and whom not to hit, whom to give privilege and whom not to give privilege, whether we are outspoken or we are not.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vimal. In fact, rightly said, maybe this will become a new normal
Exactly.
for organizations to work. It is rightly said, like this is the time to create case studies
Exactly.
by actually working towards the solution and not getting stuck with the problem. So thank you so much for that.
True colors
so
coming
Mr.
out. I'll put it this way, true colors coming out.
Yes, rightly said.
Thank you. Thank you.
So survival of the fittest, probably. Yes, Mr. Vivek, the same question to you. Sales team is working in a distributed manner as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. How can organizations motivate their sales team and ensure success during these challenging times?
Well, honestly, I would say the first thing which comes to my mind is that the overall factors remain the same. It's just that it becomes a little different in the way you're implementing it. So if you would call areas such as, building, having a lot of teamwork, having that currency of trust and rapport across your entire teams. So that remains as is, but that is something which has to be propagated all the more. I guess you'll have to encourage and recognize even smaller initiatives at the end of the day, which people may have taken, giving them freedom possibly to try out their ideas. Of course, that doesn't mean that oversight won't be there. So those sort of pieces, possibly celebrating small wins, of course, in this pandemic period, even if you are able to sustain your business, that is more than enough, or excellent indicators, I would say. From a leader perspective, I would say another thing which is also important is leadership possibly having a connect with the employees, because that is very, very essential, so that whatever is being thought about gets planned and percolated. And teams also have the ability to adapt and respond accordingly. One area which I would also suggest is that possibly not dwell too much in the domain of micromanagement, because what happens is balancing, I would say, rather two areas. One is work off home and work from home gets difficult over a period of time. So as long as the job gets done and the individual is able to be present for the scheduled meetings, it really doesn't matter if they are on their desk virtually all the time. Secondly, I would say one more area which could be done is in terms of conducting different sorts of mini capsules. So you could have some sort of motivational exercise. Maybe there could be a speaker coming in, sharing his ideas, because teams need to understand different perspectives. They need to be briefed about that challenges are being faced by everybody in the world and how they are possibly trying to adapt. So rather, these are some of the areas which I would say, if possibly worked upon, teams stay motivated in the longer run.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vivek, for that. In fact, that was the whole crux about the first two questions that were posed, because as people might have understood, we try to focus on both aspects. One is that what should be done to connect with the customers, especially in these times of remote working. And second, this other front, do you motivate your sales employees when the workforce itself is distributed? Both aspects need to count, that is as well as your sales. So thank you much for sharing your views. The next question I would direct to Mr. Sekath. Even if the sales is regaining pace, collections may be a different story. Have you seen any change in collections pattern? Please elaborate.
Sujata, as a finance person in today's world, if collections are more than sales, it is music, isn't it, Bimal?
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, finance and marketing are part of the game every time.
And to our surprise, in the last 3-4 months, at least April, nothing happened. But May, June, and July, which is still continuing, I don't know the reason for it, but we see a good traction as far as collection is concerned, and it is beating my own expectations to say. So either I am too conservative, which I am not, I guess so, but I see a lot of money coming in, which is only an indication that in the market, there are serious buyers who are there, and there is not much negotiation perhaps which is happening, at least in our sector. And genuine buyers are paying, and I see that money rotating back to us. So the velocity that I see as far as collection is concerned and timely payment is concerned has gone up. As Vimal was saying, and I couldn't agree with him more, that you need to pick up your customers well. You can see their stripes at this point of time. And when you look at your numbers where the outstandings are moving, and who is paying and who is not paying, irrespective of the fact that what state the business is in, because everybody is doing something or the other. You know which horses to bank upon and which not. So I would say uski sahi
पकड़ आ गई है.
पकड़ आ गई है.
पकड़ आ गई है. You know who is going to behave which way when the things are going to be right or wrong.
Right. So we have about 2,000 dealers, 7,000, 8,000 sub dealers, and it was difficult, when in earlier times who is doing what, who is having what stock. Today, exactly what's the position is, who is taking you for a toss. So we have also consciously taken decisions as far as where to do business, even if it means that you sacrifice your business to that extent.
Exactly.
Because the pressure, and Vimal will agree with me, is all from a sales side is, "Arey, bech do, paisa aa jayega." But if you don't see the money coming in, and this 4 or 5 months has been a good testimony of that fact that where people are, I think we have pretty much sorted out where our business will be as we go into the future. Some of the no-nos are strictly those big builders, because that is where we are.
Yes. I totally agree. Okay. I totally agree.
And if we don't see, it is better to give them a discount upfront and take the money rather than wait in hope that you will get a better money. Okay. So all these tactical issues we have taken care. It may have impacted us in a manner of a business of a few crores or so, but not too worried about that, because our quality of sales have significantly gone up. One more thing, it was I would like to comment on the previous question that people in these times, cash is one thing, cost is also another thing. We have suddenly discovered that we can save crores of rupees, and I would not like to put a number there, but at least 10 to 20% or even more of our fixed costs we are able to save just by avoiding those. So what we were thinking is that ये पहले क्यों नहीं किया? Because some expenses go under the carpet when you are in a running mode. But when you are in a crisis situation, that also has become very impactful. So from profitability, people are now looking at EBITDA and cash flow. So that is where we are, and I guess all of us are looking at.
Agreed, totally agree. Even we are looking at it the same way. Zero business, what was the cost? And now when it is escalating, where we can save money, it's coming out open, which never, I mean, rather I would say, minus COVID, this should have happened 10 years back. Things would have been totally different in all the businesses.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I agree with you totally.
Yes,
in our case, basically, there's a little difference between our business and Mr. Saikat's. The only thing is that our business was a little bit, and still because of four-wheeler, our lot of steel used to be used there. So, but yes, it has come back, and as rightly said by Saikat, there are a lot of customers right now we don't want to do business with. Would prefer to introduce new customers. Will prefer to give more business to the current suppliers. Will like to put in more money with a person who was with us in the month of April, who was with us in the month of May, and we'll move like that only. But there's a lot of scope. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of business which is happening. Money is coming in, and where money is not coming in, I won't say that it is. It's like smooth sailing for us. There are a lot of places where money is not coming in, but right now we know, okay, here we need to stop. And so far as motivation is concerned, once the numbers come, the team gets motivated, automatically. All these things have added to that. Contacting people on WhatsApp calls, contacting people on Zoom calls. This has actually enhanced the business. It has given, right now, sometimes I wanted my CFO to come and visit a customer with me. Mr. Saikat will rightly agree to that, because he would love to meet customers, to know what's their psyche and how do they operate. So we used to tell our CFO, sir, ab chalte hain, udhar chalte hain, iske baad chalte hain, yaar udhar chalte hain, ye karte hain. The time was not there. He had other things to look after. But right now it's there. One single call, you connect all the people. You know what's happening. You know the numbers. And you can at least, by your experience will tell you once you're across the screen, there's a famous saying, camera don't lie. So you know what that customer is trying to say to you, what is his body language, how is he going to behave. It all happens like that only. And so far as numbers is concerned, as rightly said by Sagar, it's moving up. It automatically gives that motivation to the sales team and everybody. Number aa rahe hain, things are moving up. So things will change. So.
Yes, in fact, rightly said. So a lot of business strategies are being modified, realigned to suit the current time. And another point which is so nicely put by you is that, yes, this is the time maybe to focus on relationships internally and externally with employees as well as clients. So thank you for that. I'll move to my next question. I'll direct this question first to Mr. Vimal and then to Mr. Vivek. Mr. Vimal, digital technologies are dramatically altering the way that organizations operate. Is it time that core manufacturing industry starts focusing more on building the digital muscle in the organization?
Yes, I agree. But there's always a business which needs to be understood how digitally it has to be built up. Maybe in our case, it may be totally different than in Mr. Saikat's case, totally different. Like maybe he has got, the employee base is higher. In our case, the employee base is say 500, but our customer base is almost 500-600. You need to know. This particular thing has actually put us into a focus area whereby cost cutting is not something we were not looking at it earlier. Cost cutting has got a different meaning now. you look at it and you know that this is where you need to cut and this is where you need to put in. Like we are investing a lot in IT sector right now in this pandemic area, but we are also focusing on building up our hardware also, maybe laptops or maybe other things. But you always know where to stop and where not to stop. But yes, as rightly said, that this thing is going to stay there, whether there is COVID or there is anything else coming up in the world. But this particular thing is going to stay back, the digital technology, the digitization of the organization. But every organization will have its own budgets, its own formation, its own teams, what they will be there. So the kind of expenses may vary. पहले हम लोग पेट्रोल के पैसे देते थे, अब शायद हम क्या कहते हैं उसके लिए, you give that Wi-Fi money and all that kind of things. But then that's a lot less, and there's a lot of things which are improving, like the time is saving. Earlier it used to take almost 2 hours to reach a customer. Now it is 2 minutes job. So we will prefer. I mean, I think Saikat will also prefer that कि भी बजाय कि वो भागदौड़ कर रहा है, एक जगह बैठ के वो आधे से ज्यादा काम करेगा.
Vimal, if I may to add to it, in my so many years of experience, I would have hardly met 50, 100, 200.
Agree.
In a span of 2 months, I have met more than 2,000 dealers.
I totally agree with you on this, because you cannot escape now from a phone call.
Absolutely. So, and interacting directly, understanding them, they understanding us, what is there in our mind, because sometimes the message gets diluted from what you say and how it reaches you. So when you are in a face-to-face medium like this, the message gets and hits you direct. And if he has any questions to that, you also give him an answer to, whether he is satisfied or understood. It is your responsibility to make him understand that this is the ethos of the company that we are driving. This is how we want our partners to engage with us. This is how we want to develop your business. And in the process, we will get more business, and both of us will be in the same boat as far as earnings are concerned. But to communicate that in a manner, it is so important that you have these platforms. And I'm glad this. I shouldn't say that.
I got it. The message is clear. The message is clear. You need not add the line.
Right.
There's one more thing. There's one more thing I would like to add here. That right now, while you are interacting with the customer, earlier it was you were depending on your team. You were dependent on them. कि भी क्या number होंगे, इस week का क्या होगा, इस month का क्या होगा. And then you used to, speculate on your experience. नहीं यार इतना नहीं होगा, इतना हो जाएगा. But right now, you're almost, bang on there. 99%, यार इस customer से मेरी खुद interaction हुई है. If he said tomorrow, that means tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Earlier, you used to ask, यार उससे बात हुई क्या? हाँ जी, हो गई बात. क्या बोल रहा है? Sir, within 2 days. And you used to bank on that. It used to come maybe after 5 days. It used to come. But right now, it's there.
In fact, you are not dependent on him. Okay, you will pick up the phone. हाँ भाई आपने बोला था क्या हुआ?
बोला था क्या हुआ? Yes. It's a total commitment from both the sides now.
So somehow the speed of communication, the speed
Has
of
increased.
decisions, the speed
Yes.
of conversions has increased.
It's
That's a
dramatic
good
and
thing.
it is positive.
Yes.
In fact, Sujata, if I were to add there, those glass chambers that we all sit in has been broken. Okay.
Agree.
Today, the glass chamber is only the screen in front of you and the person who is on the other side and you. So this has greatly improved the way you communicate. And this is the new norm, as Vimalji was mentioning. And this will continue because ek bar, when you start enjoying a particular thing, you are not going to let it go. Whether
Let
it is
it go. Exactly.
So you have now
Agreed.
addicted to WhatsApp, you have addicted to Facebook, and this is the new medium that you are addicted to. My 8-year-old son is मैं Zoom operate करता हूँ, मैं ये करता हूँ. When did he hear Zoom? It was only 3 or 4 months back. Nobody knew about it. Even I didn't know about there was an app which existed called Zoom.
Yes,
Certainly.
rightly said.
In fact,
Rightly said.
there is this very common joke, and it has been repeated so many times, that there was a survey that was rolled out that who is driving the digital strategy for your company? Is it the CDO? Is it the CTO? Or is it COVID-19? And maximum people have opted for COVID-19. So I just hope that we retain the best things that we have got in these difficult times, the learnings that we have got, and we emerge stronger. So thank you for that. So Mr. Vivek, the same question to you, that digital technologies are dramatically altering the way that organizations operate. Is it time that maybe manufacturing industry setups should also now focus on building their digital muscle?
Sujata, when you talk of the digital muscle, the first thing which comes to my mind is possibly an Usain Bolt or the Rock standing out and sort of moving ahead. So from an organizational perspective, if you see, I'd rather put it this way. There are maybe a combination of factors which I would say which organizations can work forward to. One essential aspect which Vimalji rightly pointed out was in terms of customization, because you cannot have a one size fits all approach with regards to the digital journey as well. So firstly, the leadership has to be very clear that, the digital transformation is the mantra for the organization at the end of the day. It's an inevitable thing. The sooner you accept it, the better it is. Secondly, I would say one major area is in terms of enabling people with the skills, because it's easier to buy a tool, you can have the best of knowledge, you can have the best of tools which are available in the market. But if you're not enabling people with your skills, then you would still be lacking out. Thirdly, I would say, working on the data. I'm sure for organizations of both the sizes, Mr. Saikat would rightly agree, would be having multiple data pointers which would be coming. But making sense out of it is something which is very, very essential. Because until and unless you can't make sense out of the data, you can't possibly take different actions which are needed. Fourthly, I would say, staying open to sort of different aspects as such. Possibly establishing an ecosystem where you are open to new ideas, where you're open to working with different partners as such. Often there is a case that people think that, it's just about getting an IoT device or maybe some cutting edge manufacturing pieces. But even I would say very base things such as digitizing a particular process, within your entire organization, that also has a sort of a diametric effect across the entire firm per se. Last but not the least, I would say, two other areas. I would say one is an innovation driven culture. And having an appetite, for taking risks. That is very, very important in this entire period. Otherwise, your digital journey would find it difficult to move through. And finally, I would say one important thing definitely is, integrated with your business. That is something which we have been, which both the eminent panelists have sort of laid out earlier also. That if you're not able to bring it up into a business perspective, as in not convert your digital requirements into your actual business perspective, then you would possibly not be getting the real benefit or the real crux out of it. And ultimately, if you're able to handle the customer requirements and then see whether possibly say you want to improve the customer experience, so then what digital technologies are you bringing in? Maybe you just want to increase the efficiency, then how are you bringing? So these are the different areas which firms can typically consider in. And yes, of course, digital is the current mantra and which has to be followed. So yeah, those are my thoughts with regards to the same.
Thank you, Mr. Vivek. In fact, yes, that is the crux of it, that there should certainly be a business IT alignment. Otherwise, just, having digitization for the heck of it would not make any business sense. So rightly put. I will urge all of the attendees on YouTube, please send in your questions to us. We have already received some questions from our registered attendees prior to the start of today's session. However, even now, you can please send in your questions using the chat box on YouTube. And on your behalf, I will ask those questions to our speakers. So I'll move to my next question. I direct my next question to Mr. Saikat and followed by that to Mr. Vimal. Mr. Saikat, in pre-COVID times, the main focus area for investors used to be the bottom line and growth. What are the changes you are seeing in the investors' approach? Please elaborate.
Sujata, investors are also a very sensible lot. Okay, so though they also judge the current business scenario where there is struggle which is happening. So in our case, our investors are more concerned about how are we going to manage our at least the EBITDA line. Is there a because they know the business is down, say about, so in some cases it will be 20%, in some cases it will be 30%. Markets are shutting. So in these full of your that you're earning and expenses. So one of the key areas, and I think I have met more than 100 investors in the last 2 months or so. The question that keeps coming to you is that where are you selling, what kind of margins that you're getting, and how are you controlling your costs? Okay, and with the markets opening and closing, you don't know where you will be, because the appetite to push your product, and that too in a backdrop which I had already told that I will not overtrade on my counter, which means I'll not compromise on the quality of sale that we are doing. It is very important that you be on control of your costs. And this new way of working that you see, offices were at random being opened, furnishing them would be at a particular level. Now the question is, why do you need an office? Okay, you can work, the office is right in front of you, the laptop is there with you, you need an internet, it is there with you. You need to, you are not going out, or even if you are going out, if you are going 10 times, okay, you are going to, hardly going 2 or 3 times. Personally, I also have been in the market, and the last 6 months, I have not seen an aeroplane. That's where it is. Okay, so why do you need all these things, and still you are doing good? So had it been the otherwise of it, that since we are not moving out, things are not happening, it is not the case. So you are at your wits' end to understand this new normal has given you the impetus to look at each and every item of the cost between necessary and avoidable. There is no third word which is there in that. And that is exactly what we are doing. If it promotes my sale, I'll do that expenditure to maintain my EBITDA line. If it doesn't, if it is a frill, sorry, it is not happening. So I guess all businesses have realized this, each one, wherever they are in the maturity curve. And I think this is where we are today. Each cost is being questioned, and every employee is, contributing to it. You would have seen in WhatsApp earlier, increment, promotion, all those things were a lot of fancy thing. Today, survival is the most important thing. And I guess in these times, everybody is, gelled towards how this period you will pass through without major, hiccups or burden or adverse impact to your bottom line. So, and other thing that the people are always asking is that, will you be in the money? Okay, because that's also very important in today's days, because since your operations are going to be limited, it is important that you keep the war chest of time. So that is very important, and people who will survive into the next level, or whether it is next year or the year after, are the people who have understood this well and constraint or fit to size as far as the current scenario is concerned. So each one has to challenge. It is not the job of a single person or a few people. Each one will chip in, and I guess that is what the investors are looking at from the companies, including us.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Saikat, for sharing your views and insights on it. Mr. Vimal, the same question to you, that the pre-COVID times, the main focus areas for investors was bottom line and growth. What are the changes that you are seeing in the investors' approach?
I totally agree with Saikat ji, what he said. The thought process has not changed. The investor right now is again looking at the same numbers. He's looking at the bottom line. He's looking at the profitability. He's looking at the costing. The only thing what has changed is that how your business is adapting to these new norms. That's all. He is just asking you, what have you done? What is digitization? How our employees are behaving in that arena? Now, since you're not moving out, you're not going like you used to go out 100 times in a month. Now you are going out only 10 times. How is it affecting your business? The thought process is same. He wants profitability. He wants cost cutting. He wants to look at the employee base. He wants to look at the employee output. The only thing what has changed is that what has happened to the entire world, the whole world. How are you adapting to that? And what are your strategies to look into that and move ahead? So technically we are there only. The bottom line is there. The only thing is, okay, now coming different ways of cost cutting, different ways of, building up strategies, building up plans to introduce the numbers. So actually, an investor is again looking at the same. For him, what's important is whether his money is safe or not, and it is giving returns or not. That's it. He doesn't have any third choice. The only thing is the questionnaire has changed, but the thought process is same. So
Sure.
what we are looking at is exactly right, as rightly said by Saket ji, that it's more about how we are adapting now to the new norm. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vimal, for sharing your views on that. We'll be moving quickly to our next question. And the next question is directed to all the speakers. So I would request every speaker to spend 30 seconds to 1 minute in elaborating on this question. We could go in the sequence as Mr. Vimal followed by Mr. Saikat and then with Mr. Vivek. So Mr. Vimal, government has indicated that it might bring in some stimuli for reviving demand. What can be the top 2-3 things that can revitalize customer spirits and boost demand?
See,
Mr. Vimal, if you start.
see, basically what's important here right now about government policies is something which we can only say. And when I say it, it's basically dependent on the kind of experience I have and what is related to my business. So my perspective will be totally different than what Mr. Saikat is going to say. Saikat ji is into a different business altogether. I am into a different business altogether. So I may want that the government should come up with good packages for the 4-wheeler industry. It's going to boost my this thing. But whether that particular package is important for this industry also or not, no, I don't think that will be. Car sales is not going to increase the sales for any other, somebody who's into a different kind of a business. But what is important is that you have to bring out people. You have to motivate people to come out and purchase. That's it. When we talk about purchase, it can be anything. It can be a 2-wheeler, it can be a 4-wheeler, it can be a house, it can be anything. People have to be motivated. They have to be actually, they have to be told that, okay, we are here, we are doing it this way, that way. So the first and foremost important thing is the fear factor. What is right now? कि पता नहीं नौकरी बचेगी कि नहीं बचेगी, पता नहीं सैलरी मिलेगी कि नहीं मिलेगी, पता नहीं इंक्रीमेंट होगा कि नहीं होगा. But basically you have to tell them that no, everything is temporary, everything is going to back to normal, everybody is safe. Go out and enjoy. Go out and purchase. You have to create that atmosphere of stability, atmosphere of security, and you have to basically bring people out and create that kind of a package that you have to bring out people and tell them, okay, go ahead and purchase. Otherwise no other package, it can be good for one industry and it may not be good for another industry. That's my view. I mean, I like to know about Saket ji, what's his views about that.
Yes, so Mr. Saikat, the same thing to you, that what could be possibly the top 2-3 things that you think with government's aid or stimuli can revitalize customer spirits and boost demand?
So, Sujata, the economy today is maximum reliant on this small and medium scale. Okay. And if you look at it, they are the most impacted as far as liquidity is concerned, demand is concerned, and their survival is concerned. So as Vimalji rightly said, the confidence as far as people is concerned is rightly starting from at that point of time, because there is a big uncertainty in that particular segment. Now, the government has done some part of it as far as releasing certain benefits to them. But announcements and implementation take a lot of time, and that is the gap that we have today. So once the policy has been announced, they have announced 20 lakh crores, that is what we all know. But how much of it is it precipitating down to the last people to confidence? Yes, now things are coming back. So whatever money that I was hoarding, I will now start spending. Okay, and the perhaps the aspirational products like a house, like a car or something fancy, it is much the pecking order is much later. But today people are more concerned about their livelihood. uh, if they get their dal chawal standing in a line during COVID, it was such a great joy. You never had this joy before. Okay, I got this much today. It may not be your the rightful choice, but look at the mindset at that point of time, April, May, when for necessary things you were queuing up and feeling happy about. You didn't think at point of time a car or a building or a tile or a sanitary ware that you would purchase. Survival was the most important thing at that point of time, and we all survived at that point of time. The confidence is now gradually coming up with the vaccine coming up, whether it comes next month or 6 months down the line, because that is the time when people will think now it is easy, safe to go out. We all stay in Delhi, at least I stay in Delhi, and look at the empty roads which are at this point of time. That gives you an indication people are still not there. So still the confidence is not coming up. So where is the spending going to happen? Because people, if they were to spend, they need to go out. And the confidence as far as going out is simply not there, because with the number of cases coming up, it is more than 12 lakhs, I guess, at this point of time. And Delhi, Mumbai, all the peak A-town areas where the maximum sales and money collection and income tax and all those data that you see happen, it's not happening. So it will take a bit of a time. Whatever you do, this monster has to be attacked. Because while there was a slowdown which was happening earlier, even prior to COVID, but still there were people were going on, transactions were happening. You need to get to that level first before we get to the level of a normal scenario. So irrespective of the package and or whatever, in May and June, the series of packages have been announced. The precipitation has still not come. So I would guess, from an industry perspective, H1 is what people have already written off, which means the precipitation of that money coming in and the demand getting generated is not happening. Hope is there as far as H2 is concerned, depending upon what happens. So that's how I would look at it as far as business is concerned. So not much expectation out of a government or what SOPs or policies that will be announced. The confidence will come from the people if they go out, and people are not going out at this point of time. That's my take on it.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Saikat. So the same question to Mr. Vivek. So are your views in line with both the speakers, or do you think that there are certain expectations that we hold from the government to boost demand?
Well, I would say it's more of a wish list. Of course, I mean, the pandemic has hit the overall global economies, including Indian economies, in such a scale that possibly whatever they take, there is always scope for more to be done. You see, now we are faced with a situation where you have four major areas, see, be it in terms of consumption, that has been totally hit. Your manufacturing has taken a big hit as a result of large-scale supply chain disruptions. Your exports have taken a hit, and there is a very little influx of capital flows as such. So this is the problem and reality which we are living in as such. Now, in this case, of course, a lot of stimulus has flown in, and Saikaji very well pointed about an important factor in terms of precipitation that has to trickle down and flow down to the people, because until and unless that possibly happens, you won't be seeing a large-scale effect or a movement in terms of an uptick in the economy. My top 2-3 wish list or hope would be that one is possibly an effect on the GST rate, sort of a broad cut which is there. Maybe that would help in boosting investment and demand, definitely. Sorry. The other portion being MSMEs. A lot was announced, but I still feel that a lot can be done, especially for the MSME sector, for the manufacturing and services sector, who are smaller firms as such. A lot has been announced, but really that effect hasn't percolated to them. So for MSMEs, if something can be done, that would be really great. And additional liquidity, I guess globally, if you see what has happened is we are looking at possibly a zero interest rate or a near zero interest rate. So there is still a fair bit of a margin, and we are somewhere roughly about 4.5–5% in India. So fair bit of a margin for India to work across those pieces, and possibly when you reduce the lending rates, consumers and industries ultimately able to get cheaper finance, and so you have higher capital investment at the back of lower cost. So that is something which would possibly affect. And lastly, one major factor is the real estate focus. That is something which I regard as the growth engine for the country. So the government has to work a lot in terms of that, possibly announcing SOPs over there, maybe taking up distressed assets which are there, largely taking different sorts of confidence building measures, which I would call it. And because it will have a repercussion effect across multiple areas of maybe in cement, maybe in paint, maybe in ceramics, maybe in electrical fittings as such. And so these are maybe roughly some of the areas possibly by which demand could be boosted in the longer run.
Thank you. So basically a two-pronged approach. One is how do you help companies, industries on whole, and secondly also look at buyers as individuals, as what is it that you can do so that buyers feel more motivated and confident to go out and spend. So having a two-pronged approach is what we are looking at. So with that, at least we are closer to at least my questions are close to an end. However, we do have, like I mentioned, we do have questions from our attendees. Just a reminder to all of our attendees on YouTube about our next week's webinar, which is scheduled for 31st of July at 4 p.m. We will be joined by subject matter experts and IT leaders, and the topic would be about securing organizations, against the cyber attacks, building really robust organizations. These times have posed a lot of threats when it comes to cyber attacks, and thus several organizations are taking, actions and making efforts and investments on this front. So please join us on 31st of July for building cyber secure organizations in times of uncertainty. With that, let's move to the Q&A session for today. We had pre-received certain questions. One of those questions is initially directed to Mr. Vimal. Mr. Vimal, what have been the challenges on the supply chain side, and how have you been able to sort them out to ensure that the sales cycle works effectively?
So far as supply chain side is concerned, if I talk about this on technical grounds, we never faced any problem because the industry came back to normal. I won't say it's still coming back to normalcy, but it came very slowly to that normal level. So everybody was geared up. To an extent, everybody was almost geared up. So whenever we used to pick up call and think about anything, whatever we needed for our customers to be equipped with whatever requirements they had, whatever the requirements they gave, we were there, and our suppliers were there, and they were ready with that. So we actually didn't face much of a challenge so far as things are concerned. But yes, there's only one challenge which we still feel that it is there. It's about the manpower. Right now, if anybody is, right now, if I am ready with 100% of my orders, but I'm able to cater to only 80%. It's not because of the supply chain issues. It's not about the logistics. It's not about anything else. It's precisely about the manpower. Maybe the right manpower at right levels is not there still. People are still, they have gone back to their places, and they are not ready to come, or they don't want to come. So that is the challenge which even now or in next, maybe next 4-5 months or 6 months down the line, we are still going to face. So coming back to 100% or 110% of our capacity, the challenge will not be supply chain, the challenge will not be logistics, the challenge may not even be the orders. The challenge will be managing the manpower. So I think it's okay. Like the growth was not कि हम एक महीना बंद थे and then suddenly we were doing 100%. Then it might have been a challenge, but it came up. Everybody was slowly gearing up. Things were there. We already had some WIPs. We already had some orders, in pipeline. Everybody was in the same kind of a gear. But now the only challenge which I see is not about anything else. It's more about the right kind of people at right places still missing.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vimal. So, Mr. Sekat, the next question has been directed to you. Building and construction industry firms are witnessing a major hit in terms of demand and consumption patterns. How can firms stay resilient in the face of downturn? Mr. Sekat, that is the question.
You need to say that again because half of it I couldn't.
There's a voice difference.
Okay,
So
sure.
basically, I understood your question.
Yes.
Okay, you are saying that in the building industry is going through a downturn at this point of time, and how would you revive that? Is that right?
Yes, so because the demand is low, so then how specifically within your industry can it be dealt with?
See, industry and demand, you cannot do much about it because it's the customer sentiment that will counter. To your counter. The challenge today is, building material industry, if I'm not wrong, employs about 60 to 65% of the workforce in our country. So if things are not happening the way it is expected, okay, because if you look at tile consumption, it is about 0.6 per other countries. Even the moderate, they will be at 2, and the best one will be at 4-5, okay, square meters per. So there is enough headroom for consumption which is there, but then the consumption should also come, because last 2-3 years this is the demand. If you look at of tiles, the growth has been roughly about, say, something 6, 7, 8%. That's about it. Whereas the expectation of that would be something around in the double digit. So yes, we have been dealing with it, and it continues to impact us as far as growth is concerned. And growth also, I would say, profitable growth, because we have seen continuous discounting as far as our products are concerned in the market. If you have been looking for a house, and the prices as far as 2010, 11, 12, you will get perhaps a cheaper house if you had booked at that point of time vis-a-vis now. So that's where the industry is. Okay, so consumption is taking a toll, and it will not go out in a manner of a couple of years. It will take a long time. So what industries are doing today is to look inwards rather than looking outwards. So gas is a major consumption as far as our products are concerned, as far as tiles and sanitary ware are concerned. You are looking at investing in those equipments where your gas cost is coming significantly lower. You are looking at setting up plants where the raw materials are available, so that freight is not a wasteful expenditure. You are looking at people who can pick materials from your side. So can it be a distributor model that you can look at, who can take care of your stock, so that the movement, and you are also locating your plants in a manner that the distance from your plant to the customer is lower. So what I say is that it is more inward looking rather than outward looking. And in an industry that I operate, 80% is unstructured, okay, because you have a Morbi hub which produces tiles. It's the Manchester of tiles. And there is a Kacha Pakka Hisab which is there. So you are competing with all of them. And today machineries of tile are such that anybody can lay a state-of-the-art plant, spending 70-80 crores to make a plant. So technology is not a constraint. So in this market, when you are operating, you have to be very nimble as far as your cost structure is concerned. And where you get money is your network, your dealership, and how you are creating value or value-added products. Okay, whether it is bigger size, non-slipping tiles, germ-free tiles, all those things. Those are the value-added things that you are trying to push to get up to the value chain as far as the price realization is concerned. That is the only way of survival at this point of time. Demand, it will come when it comes, and as I've already said, as an industry and as a company, we would not like to sell to people who don't pay. So that's another restriction which is imposed upon ourselves. So with all these factors, we are trying to make sense of a business which is, in a bit of a fix over the last 2-3 years.
Sure. So cost optimization would be the way forward, because of demand revival is not what the companies themselves can control. So thank you for sharing those views. So Ms. Vivek, we've been talking from a manufacturing, industry's perspective, but now moving to a services perspective. In tough times, services selling can take a backseat. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Sujata.
Vivek, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Sujata, go ahead.
Okay, so in these tough times when services selling can take a back seat, what are you doing to connect with the customers better?
Okay, so Sujata, irrespective of the industry and the scale and the size, all of our clients have been impacted. So when we try and think about their needs specifically, possibly what is needed and how can we boost the employee morale, and then customize our solutions accordingly. So we've released different sorts of HR and IT advisory pieces, and we try and keep them cost effective, so that at the end of the day, the customer doesn't have to think twice, even if for any small piece which they might have to go to. Secondly, I would say flexibility also on the payment front. That is something, of course, on a mutually agreeable term. That is one of the other factors which is being looked into. Maybe the other thing, the major factor I would say is, a customer-centric innovation. You need to be driven by what your customers are demanding, not what you want to push in, because you might frankly want to push in 10 things into the market as such. But is there really demand for that? And what is it that the industry is looking? So bringing those sort of pieces, I think those are some of the ways by which we are trying and connecting with the customer.
Sure. So going back to the basics and actually asking ourselves that what is it that the customer needs and not what I wish to sell. Yes. So that is something that maybe services industries can take a note of. Ms. the next question is for you, and I'm clearly. For industry like you can do this is very important. You have mentioned about what you're doing for your employees. Okay, I'm not audible.
Sujata, you'll have to.
Is this better now?
Yes, it is better now, Sujata. Now you can repeat the question.
Let me try again. So, Mr. Sekat, secondary stage is important for you. What are your dealers and
Saikat's expression is giving that. Saikat's expression is telling you he has not been able to hear you.
I couldn't make a word out of it.
So, Mr. Saikat, what is it that you're doing for dealers?
What are you doing for dealers
and distributors?
Dealers and distributors. Okay.
Okay. So a CRM project which was perhaps on hold has been activated so that he can place his orders. I can dispatch his orders. He can see his statements. Any communication as far as schemes and other things are concerned, he's able to look at it on a real-time basis. My people are also connected to that CRM. So that is where we are working on and developing, which was, say at the 20% stage or a 30% stage before COVID. And that is what is getting the focus of the organization to make it 100%, because this is how we will be transacting our business. So whether it is our employees as far as the sales community is concerned, and also for that matter, the finance committee, because they also need to be on the same page as far as processing their claims, incentives, their other stuff which is there. So everybody needs to be on a real-time basis. And one more thing which has given us this hope is that speed has become very essential at this point of time. So when you are all on the same page, there is no excuse. इसने तो मुझे नहीं दिया था, मुझे ये नहीं मिला था, because all the documents and the backup documents that you require are on the same platform. So the customer satisfaction as far as my engagement with my dealers have gone up, and that is an experience which people are enjoying.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Sekhar. I'm now parallelly also typing the question in chat so that it reaches Mr. Vimal. So just give me a second. So Mr. Vimal, let me try verbally first. A major chunk of demand for steel companies comes from auto industry. Are there any changes that you're doing in demand generation strategy as well?
Okay. See, I'll tell you, when we talk about automobile constitutes of only 10% of the steel demand. Basically, steel is not about only automobile. Steel is also about construction industry. Steel is also about the highways. Steel is also about cycle, two-wheelers, fan industry, white goods, engineering industry. So, basically, yes, when we look at it as a common person's viewpoint, so हमारे को four-wheeler ही दिखता है, automobile दिखता है. But when we talk about automobile, there is a car segment and there is a tractor segment. Tractor segment is not dependent on car segment customers. Tractor segment is totally dependent on the agriculture industry. So right now, when we are talking here across the table, right now the agriculture industry is on boom. Tractor industry has not seen this kind of a growth for the last 5 years. They are booming like anything. The exports are almost 5 times than what they have been doing during the last 5 years. The local industry is almost 3 times more. The cycle industry has not seen these kind of numbers for the last 5 years. So technically, when we talk about steel, so we have to take each and every segment separately. When we talk about car industry, it's down. But when we talk about any other industry, we talk about cycle, it's booming. We talk about tractor, it's booming. We talk about, when we talk about, this house construction and all that, it's not there. People are not going and purchasing a house right now. They will prefer कि भी एक घर ले लिया उसी में खुश रहो या अभी रेंट पे रहो बाद में देखेंगे कोई बात नहीं. No, there's a strategy to everything. So I won't say that the automobile industry is because it's not there, so the steel demand has come down, but rather I would put it this way, that for most of that companies, they have rebound. When we talk about Tata Steel, we talk about JSW, we talk about SAIL, they have given one of the best figures for the month of June. So because it's dependent on various other segments which normally people don't realize or don't know. It's like that.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vimal. So, Mr. Vivek, the next question is to you. As a consultant, how can you help organizations in, with regards to their sales strategies? Mr. Vivek,
you're on
mute.
Oops. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So as a consultant, well, we can work across different pieces. One of the things which we can definitely do is with regards to something known as an effectiveness impact analysis. So the whole idea being in a sort of a challenging environment, how is the effectiveness of your entire sales function as such? So we would be working in terms of people and process efficiencies, understanding, how you are mapped across the market and customer strategy. How is your overall business and sales strategy planned as such? So from an entire people to entry to an exit process, that is what we would be looking at, and then mapping out and then coming out with, how better you could enhance it. Secondly, the other thing which is very relevant possibly in today's times is in terms of competencies. So what is it that is essential, which would ultimately help an individual to do the job? So that is where you need to understand what are the requirements of the job. What is it that you demand that the job should be doing? And then possibly determining all the characteristics in place as to what the individual should be having, what his gaps are, how can the development journey be planned. So that is one of the other areas. Thirdly, I would say, today's organizations, they are also facing a big challenge that, in terms of improving profits amidst a very challenging and tough environment. So that is what calls for a manpower planning approach. So balancing the right set of skills and capabilities. So that is something which could be worked at. And one more area which could also comes to my mind is in terms of a job analysis. That is something which is very relevant in today's times, as to possibly gathering and analyzing information as to what all is the content and requirement for a job, how well it could be done, how better it could be performed. So these are, some of the areas which I feel that in today's context, in today's challenging environment, this is something which companies can definitely consider and think about.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vivek. So we are closer to a wrap with regards to the questions from the attendees. Speakers, if you wish to add any points, please. So, Mr. Sekat, if something you want to add, followed by Mr. Vimal and then Mr. Vivek.
I guess the only thing that remains to be added is how soon the vaccine will come in, so that people will be able to walk around freely, and we will start getting into a situation of normal, not normal. At least people will start getting the confidence as far as moving out is concerned, and that is only at that point of time economic activity will start. Anything before that, it is just wishful thinking.
Sure. So, Mr. Vimal, your closing views?
I think it has been summed up greatly. But yes, I'll say, please stay safe. And it does not kill. COVID-19 does not kill. But yes, let's be more cautious. Let's not contract it. But it does not kill. Please leave that fear factor. Unless and until a person is having some inherent problems, or he doesn't take right medication and everything, it doesn't kill. It's a normal thing. So at least Indians are quite capable of handling this. That is a study which has come out, that Indians are quite capable because of their intake of a lot of spices and all that, and otherwise also. So I think Mr. Saket wants to say something.
No, I'm good.
That's all. Thank you.
So you are encouraging people to step out. Okay. So Mr. Vivek, your views.
I would just add, well, we are eagerly, I guess everybody is eagerly waiting for the vaccine to come about. But that said and done, from any customer or from any organizational perspective, I would just say that lean on, thrive on. Things are difficult, but the focus is only on sustainability. But stay motivated, we'll get through this.
Sure, thank you. So with that, our wrapping today's Q&A Friday, and I take this opportunity to thank all of our esteemed speakers who joined us, who shared their views, insights, learnings, also some encouraging words from them to revive sales and boost productivity internally as well as externally. Thank you so much, Mr. Sekat, Mr. Vimal, and Mr. Vivek. And thank you to all the attendees who joined us on YouTube. Please join us on 31st July again for our next webinar on building cyber secure organization in times of uncertainty. So this is Creating Values webinar signing off for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure interacting with you all. Thank you.
Thank you.